I'm Leslie.
And I'm Shelly.
And we're Sisters in Ebert. Welcome back to another Movie Monday.
Ooh, are you having a flashback? Did we just talk about the
Are
Parent
you
Trap?
super shocked we're jumping to this one now?
Welcome to 1998.
Almost like we have a pattern. If we talk about one, we talk about the other.
We can't leave one without the other.
Love and marriage. Does it sound like we can't have one without the other? Okay. So this was a movie that we definitely really wanted to see.
Yeah, this was out in the theaters.
It was a huge deal when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Disney really chalked this up.
They plugging it on the
Disney Channel. Yeah.
They had like behind the scenes stuff, I remember.
Me too. I remember like the one scene, like a balloon pops in her head and then she had a tack hit
Yeah,
her
they were
hair.
like, here's how we're filming this.
So it doesn't hurt her.
Yeah, it was. I loved those when they were on.
Me too.
It was so cool
That
to
was
see.
classic Disney Channel. That was good Disney Channel. So this movie opens up with Love by Nat King Cole with a montage on the QE2 ship, the Queen Elizabeth II ship. Couple is marrying aboard, Nick Parker and Elizabeth James. And I put Titanic came out year before, so everybody was all into boats. There's a couple dancing and enjoying complimentary wine with a bottle that says "Where dreams have no end." And the picture taken for their souvenir wedding photo was 1986. So, the next scene says 11 years later.
11 years.
And 9 months.
9 months later.
We cut to Camp Walden, where campers are arriving and retrieving their luggage. Hallie Porter from...
No, Parker.
Oh my gosh. Porter was Sharon in the last one. My bad. Ah, it says Parker, and I said Porter.
The shirt.
You're right. But it says Parker in my notes.
It does.
I'm just stupid.
You're just illiterate.
From California and lives by a vineyard. A what yard? A vineyard.
A vineyard. It's where you grow grapes to make wine. That's what we do. Me and my dad.
Did you ever see a movie star? Do you ever know, like, okay, what are you, Lucy and Ethel? Like, these two girls are talking to her.
You can quote this movie so much.
I can too, because we watched this a ton.
Yeah, we watched it a lot as kids, and then just in the past year, my daughter went through a phase where she watched it constantly, so I'm just hearing it constantly.
You're fresher with it than me, then.
Oh, yeah.
So, her father owns a vineyard, and that's where they live, and she makes friends in her bunk, like their bunkmates.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all find each other, like, help each other get their bags. They're like, oh my gosh, we're together.
Yeah, we're the same, they're all happy, Annie James arrives from London with her butler, and a similar checklist as Sharon in 1961 Parent Trap. Her butler's her butler's name is Martin, and he's super sweet. So the girls are both acclimating to camp. Neither can have strawberries, allergic, and like the Marvas are the ones who run it. It's like a mother and daughter, and they're both named Marva. And the older Marva offered the Hallie.
Yeah, they're coming through like two different lines
to get like their dinner.
Yeah.
And Hallie's offered strawberries, and she can't allergic. And then like, she says, "What about you, dear?" Like she looks on the other side. Oh, I can't. I'm allergic.
Oh, yes, you said that.
Of course, you know.
Yeah.
You'll have to excuse the old girl.
Yeah,
First
she's like, looking back, and then they both walk away, and she's just like rambling herself. Yeah. She's like, now where did she go?
Good thing I'm not putting sugar in the salt shaker, or salt in the sugar shaker, or sugar in the salt shaker. Like, So, they both have friends in their bunks. They both have like two girls that are their sidekicks.
They're very friendly with their
bunk
cabin mates, and they're just having a grand old time at camp.
Yep. Hallie is kicking butt in fencing, and Annie tries too and beats Hallie.
Take a whack at it.
Yeah, and once she wins, everyone sees that they look the same.
Yeah, they pull off helmets and they look at each other
to
like
shake hands,
square in the face.
Because they were like going all over the place and like knocking over water trough or
and like you hear the music turn like
and they immediately hate each other, much like 1961, because that would be my reaction.
Yeah. But it's more like Hallie coping.
Yeah, because Hallie's freaked out, you could tell at first. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, and then she just tries to like smush it down.
Yeah. So Annie has, do you want to do the line? Do you know the difference between you and me?
I have glass. You don't.
So I know we say that a lot.
Yes.
Okay, so Annie has a poker ring going. Because that was something Martin gave her too, as a deck of cards, a spanking new deck of cards.
See if anybody can
whip you on this continent. Yeah. So she has a poker ring going, and Hallie comes to join and challenge Annie. And Hallie beats Annie, who must now...
She walks in with like a sock full of quarters and nail polish and scrunchies. Here's my bet.
Yeah, that's what they're all betting, is like whatever they brought with them. So
where are all the counselors?
Good question.
There's just like this.
Yeah, because this is multiple bunks. This isn't like one
piled into one. It's just the two Marvas, I guess, that run the show.
I guess.
I didn't see any other staff.
Good point. I didn't either. The younger Marva was the one running the fencing.
Which is Janice from Friends.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean,
like that Janice.
Yeah, I'm not a Friends person, but I know that. Yes. I know. I would not. She looks normal. Yeah.
Yep, she's very normal.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Good fun fact. Okay, so now the last bet, because like they were just like raising, and both girls are just like raising the pot, and so the last bet was that the loser has to jump into the lake naked. And so Annie has to do that. She lost to Hallie.
She loses.
Hallie hides her clothes while she's doing this.
Yes, they're like, take her clothes. Yeah. They're okay. Where are her friends at this moment?
Right.
Weren't they there?
Everybody's watching. This entire camp came out to watch her jump in naked, which, okay.
Yeah.
Annie puts all of Hallie's bunk furniture on the roof somehow.
Yeah, they
beds,
managed
dressers,
and her little stuffed animal, Cuppy, high up on the
flagpole. Yeah. Hallie and crew then booby trap Annie's bunk a la Susan in 1961 Parent Trap with shaving cream and honey and
feathers.
Yeah, feathers and strings.
It's a mess.
So the bunks have a surprise inspection that morning, and Hallie tries to prevent the Marvas from getting booby trapped too, because not all of them went off yet.
Yeah, there's one at the front door that when they open it, a giant thing of chocolate syrup is going to pour on them, which I guess they stole from the mess hall.
And that giant balloon that fell on her.
No, that already fell on her.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I thought that was also at the
front. That girl is the
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Super goofy. So Annie says everything is, or she's like, well, if somebody's sick in there, you really shouldn't go. Well, if someone's sick, darling, I really must go in.
That was a terrible excuse.
Yeah, and Annie says everyone's fine in here unless Hallie Parker knows something we don't know. So both girls end up being punished because the Marvas get covered in chocolate and go through and get completely booby trapped in feathers and shaving cream and everything. So they're also punished to the isolation cabin with the whole camp following.
And they don't want to, because then they say like, back to your activities, and they're like, yay!
Yeah, exactly.
So you're forcing them to parade to the isolation cabin.
Yeah, to
really hate these girls. Really rub it in.
So the next day there's a rainstorm, and Annie helps Hallie shut the window to save the pictures, like in 1961.
But we know these celebrities.
The beautiful Leo DiCaprio, who I used to be told I was too young for, and now I'm too old for.
But yeah, Annie had no idea who Leo was.
No, she didn't. She's very sheltered.
Titanic came out the year before.
Yes, and he was at the height of his, his first stardom. Yeah. Girls discuss Hallie's home and her dad. Both love Oreos with peanut butter.
At home, I eat them with peanut butter.
So do I. That's so weird. So do I. And she busts out like a thing of peanut butter. We find out that both have the same birthday, October 11th.
12 on October 11th.
Yes. And each have a picture of their missing parent ripped down the middle.
At least yours is probably a whole picture. Mine's just that crinkled little thing ripped right down the middle.
Right down the middle?
Right down.
So we find out that they're twins. I put surprise.
Surprise!
The isolation cabin seems great. Only 2 people. I put. You're not bunking with 6 other girls.
Yes. I was wondering though, where's their bathroom?
I don't think any of them had bathrooms.
I know, but how far is it?
Well, think about like when you go to like a camp, like when we would go glamping, like there would be like that central bathroom.
Well, yeah, but now you're in the isolation cabin. How far is this from the central bathroom?
Maybe there's a porta-john next door.
They got a shower too.
Yeah, but they'll have to walk down.
They'll just jump in the lake.
Yeah. So, they talk about what their parents are like, and they decide to switch places, telling each other who is who at home and what the layouts are like in the houses. Yeah.
Teaching secret handshakes.
Yeah. Annie and Martin have a secret handshake. Hallie cuts Annie's hair. So, like, it's a much better haircut this time.
It's so nice. But it's like a short...
Yep.
She had really long hair,
really
so
long
they
red
had to
hair.
chop it.
And they chop it to like about here, and then she has her little
her
little bangs, and she's like, "Don't shut your eyes." So, and Hallie then realizes that Annie's ears are not pierced, so she has to pierce them.
I can't go to camp with pierced ears and come home without them.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure Dad would notice.
Yeah,
you can find some clip-ons somewhere in this.
That's true. Let's play a game of poker for somebody's clip-on earrings. Okay, so camp ends and the girls execute their plan. Hallie arrives in London and is greeted by Martin. Immediately notices her hair and that her ears are pierced. Immediately
knows.
This is hired help.
They're very close.
They are. So they get home and only grandfather and mom in this one. There's no crotchety grandma.
Thank goodness.
Hallie makes a memory, like in 1961.
Far less creepy way, though.
Yeah, of she's grandfather.
I'm just happy.
Yep, and she's smelling like peppermint and pipe tobacco. Just like in 1961. So mother is much more chill about the changes than in 1961.
Oh yeah, she's like, oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Maybe not to body shame her.
Yeah.
In any sort of way.
Which is odd because 90s was the height of body shaming.
True.
Young girls.
But it was a cute haircut.
It was very cute, okay. Yeah. It wasn't like Haley Mills.
Yes.
Oh, poor
Did
Haley
we mention this is introducing Lindsay Lohan?
That's right.
We didn't say this.
No, we didn't. This is the very first movie she ever did. And what a way to start your career. Oh my gosh.
Out of the gate.
Woo! Star power. So, Hallie goes with her mother to the wedding gown photo shoot. Her mom designs wedding gowns. And she gets called into a photo shoot where they're having like a problem.
Could never solve it without the designer.
So I said the mom has lamp on that with prisms on it. And I said, is this a nod to Haley Mills Pollyanna? Because there's a big thing in Pollyanna with prisms and it looked like those. Like there was a lamp like that.
I bet it was.
I bet it was too.
Yeah, she's like,
because she was kind of playing with it. Yeah. Like they drew attention to it. Yeah.
Things.
Yeah. Her mom has her jewelry laid out.
She hasn't experienced it.
No, perfume. Yeah. That like the woman's touch thing.
And she's a very girly woman.
Yeah. Like she is very put together, very
classy London woman.
Elizabeth fixes the photo shoot and Hallie is in the pictures too for some reason.
Is so cool.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, this makes sense for her in her pantsuit to take photos with the bride. This would be in the magazine.
And what their big fix was the veil was too long.
It was covering the
back of the dress.
But it doesn't look complete without it.
Right. So they had this like top hat like for a man and put that on.
Huge top hat.
It was
it worked.
I guess if you're shooting like high fashion it works.
It
you would never wear that.
But nobody is gonna buy this.
So Annie. Oh my gosh. Hallie as Annie starts asking about mom and her father's marriage. How they met. The QE2 is brought up, and then she talks about like they met on this boat because neither one was keen on flying back then. And
so again, they met on the boat and got married on the boat. Yeah, quick.
How long was this boat ride? Like a week tops.
Tops.
So we cut to Annie arriving in California. Her dad picks her up at the airport, and Nick missed her. Dennis Quaid. So cute in this. Yeah, very sweet in this movie. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. And
he's dreamy. We'll describe him as dreamy.
I will describe him as dreamy. That's fine. Nick missed her, and I never had a thing for Dennis Quaid. But he was very cute.
But it's just an endearing character.
Very, They had the same conversation about not writing as in 1961. Oh yeah, because I forgot to mention that in the notes, but in 1961 version, Mitch is like, I loved all those long newsy letters you were writing me, and she was like, oh well, we meant to write me, and so and Nick says in this one, on that personalized stationery you had to have before you left.
There are so many similarities between the two movies. I didn't ever realize
until
I went and rewatched. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the same movie.
I watched them back to back too, so it was like. Yeah. So Annie loves the vineyard. She sees Chessie, which is like their maid. Shelley is dressed as Chessie. The dog again doesn't react well to the new twin. Nick wants Annie to meet someone then, Meredith Blake, who's his publicist.
She's gorgeous.
Chessie reiterates that it's none of her business how her dad makes a fool of himself. I said just like Verbena in 1961.
But I feel like Chessie is so much more nice about it.
Verbena is crotchety, just like Grandma. And Chessie is like cool and younger and
every one of these characters like, I feel like they were like the toned down, better person version than the 61 version.
Yeah.
Yes. The only exception would be the grandfather. Probably he's probably exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it seemed. But
so Meredith like takes a call from Reverend Mosby.
Yep.
As another nod. Yep. But we don't ever see Reverend Mosby in this one.
Yeah, it's just a phone call.
Yeah. Annie tries to make Meredith jealous and insecure and talks about like how her dad's always got girls coming and going and all that stuff.
Which is not true.
No. The girls have their first phone call, and Annie tells Hallie about Meredith. And grandfather catches her coming out of the closet with the phone, and she said, "Oh, it's an old camp tradition. Talk to your friend from inside a closet."
They're all there.
Yeah.
Mom,
Mom was
Martin,
there too. Yeah, they were all
like,
saying,
like,
"You're
what
right."
What the heck are you doing in there? They couldn't hear.
Yeah,
like,
I know. It's not like she wasn't being quiet.
It was not talking her accent. Like,
no, and these are cord phones. Like, this was pre-cell phones, so like this is an old, like, it looked like a rotary phone that she was using.
Yeah,
so.
It was like an old-fashioned phone.
This is England, so I guess they're, whatever.
It was a classy phone.
They're
they had
old,
a classy home.
They're old money England. Yeah, it looks like. So Annie's not hungry again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, does not have the same appetite as Hallie, apparently.
Chessie is highly suspicious about how Annie is acting.
She gets how to open the door.
Yeah, she pull Hal. Yeah, she's like pushing.
I forgot.
Yeah. So Annie tries to talk to Nick about Elizabeth, her mother, and Nick tries to tell Annie about the engagement to Meredith, but Annie races off on horseback. Race you back to the house.
Yeah. Yeah, she knew
she knew it was coming.
Yep.
Chessie finally figures out that Annie is pretending to be Hallie, and she's like, "It's almost as if I were who?" Yeah, and she was like,
"Annie."
Yeah.
I am Annie.
And so
Chessie is like beside herself.
And Nick is still oblivious. He comes walking in, and they said apparently Chessie worked for Nick even before the twins were born.
Yes.
Because she's like, what was it, 5 pounds, 6 ounces? This is how I look at her. Can I hug her? Yeah. Because he's like, why are you two acting like that? Chessie, why do you look like that? So, yeah, she has a great reaction to her. Nick tells Annie about marrying Meredith, and Annie pretends to think that Nick was going to adopt her, much like the first one, because she's so young. Meredith gets a bell to summon Chessie and volunteers. It's such a big house, and volunteers to talk to Annie about the engagement. Meredith likes to see a little chest hair on Nick, so she unbuttons his top. Yeah, I was like, ugh, what a thing to say. But yeah, so Meredith is 26. She looks 26.
She looks appropriately 26.
Yeah, Annie calls Meredith out. She's young, and she's like, being young and beautiful is not a crime. And Annie sends all a 911 dog fax to England.
I didn't understand that.
It was the like dog from the house. Yeah, and it said 911 on it. And then Hallie is an expert in wine tasting, and no one is concerned.
Yeah,
like she's like camp. Yeah, she's like, let me take a sip, and she's like, her mom's like, I don't think you're gonna like it, and she was like, tastes like the blah blah blah. She's like, although I am partial to the more robust California grape, and she's like, like nobody cares. Like
maybe don't go back to this camp.
Yeah, they're teaching your kids wine tasting, yes. And nobody bats an eye. I mean. I know. I think in England, drinking age is 16, but still, like, this is an 11-year-old.
No, I think it's 18.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Okay. So she sees the fax, which Martin is like holding up behind his back, like covertly.
Got it. Yeah.
And goes to the payphone outside the house to call Annie, like down the street a little bit. Annie explains that Nick is getting married in 2 weeks. And grandfather follows her and overhears what's going on. And Hallie tells grandfather the truth, and then he has her tell Elizabeth the truth. So, Elizabeth has a mind, and she's like, I am, no, like I'm Hallie, Hallie, yeah.
We met at camp, and she explains the whole thing. And
how they met. She's like, I guess you and Dad think alike because you sent us to the same camp, and blah blah blah. Elizabeth has a minor panic attack. And they're going to be meeting Hallie and Nick at the Stafford Hotel in San Francisco. Stafford!
He was the boy in the
1961. Martin is asked to come along as a family friend and gives Elizabeth fashion advice.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if I were meeting my ex,
this is what I would wear.
Yeah, this little number, right? So Nick and crew meet Meredith, and Hallie makes it seem like Nick is fully aware they're coming.
And she's like, oh yeah, I just talked to Dad. He knows all about it. But they did not tell.
So Nick and crew meet Meredith's parents at the Stafford Hotel, and Vicky from 1961 version is playing Meredith's mother.
Yes, you may call me and
Vicky. And Lindsay Lohan's like,
So this weekend is supposed to be.
And her, I don't know if you remember, in the 1961 version, her mom was calling Haley Mills pet, and in this one, Vicky's like, "Hello, pet. You may call me Aunt Vicky."
It's great. It's such a great callback.
And nod,
nice.
It, yeah.
But yeah, so this weekend is supposed to be them meeting parents
and looking at a venue for the wedding.
Yeah, so
at this hotel.
Yeah, no one is the wiser that the girls have cooked this.
Yes, and again, I mentioned this in our last video. Vicky in this one, she was, how old did I say she was? Oh, 27 in the last one.
Now she's 64.
And she's 64 in this one.
Which I still think she looks older than 64.
She looks older than 64. My mom doesn't look like this now.
No, Mom's 69. Yeah. She looks way better than Vicky did here.
But it's that haircut again. She's got that old haircut. That same one she had in the first one. It's almost the same haircut. Yeah. So Elizabeth arrives drunk, and she's like, "Martin, would you believe I've never tasted vodka before this trip? Could have fooled me, Mom."
It's great. She's like, that flight was so quick. Yeah. It was just great.
And she's walking out with did she have a cigarette in her mouth at one point? And and her hair's in curls, and she's like, "Have you ever seen me this Martin?" She's like, "Don't answer that."
No, that was when she was in the closet.
Yeah.
This is when she's getting off the plane.
I'm just discussing it.
Oh, okay. So you're saying before.
I'm going back because we didn't talk about that. That was during her panic attack.
Okay, yes.
But it was building up to, she was pounding vodka then on the plane ride. Yeah. It was such a quick trip, isn't it? Yeah. Which we know she doesn't like flying either, so that was part of it, I'm sure.
And he's like, "Mom's drunk!"
Yeah. Okay. Meredith is hoping to have the wedding at the Stafford instead of at the ranch or the vineyard where Nick is planning to have the wedding. Nick spots Elizabeth while going upstairs in the elevator because Meredith's making out with him in the elevator, and he's facing out and Meredith's facing in.
She's at his neck.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth is just
and he's just and
he just sees it as, oh my gosh, we're crossing paths.
Yeah,
doesn't connect.
How is she at the same hotel I'm at?
Right.
Yeah, this weekend of all
thinking
weekends.
The children have any part of this.
Right, absolutely. So, Nick spots Elizabeth while going upstairs in the elevator. Chessie moves the girls and Elizabeth into the hotel room. She's like, "Oh, it's so good to see you." And she's like, "All right, let's move this little love fest in."
Yes. She's like, "Hi, I don't know if you remember me."
Chessie! And she's like,
I always liked her.
Warmly greets Chessie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew I always liked her.
I just liked her. Yeah. So Chessie and Martin meet and are instantly interested. I put. Yeah.
I'm her butler.
Yeah, I'm her butler. To Hallie. So everyone breaks the news to Elizabeth that Nick is getting married because Elizabeth did not know this. Mm-hmm. This is news to her, so she's getting a little. She's getting a little blindsided too. Mm-hmm. These chairs are a little brutal. My bad. I'll have to move back. We should invest.
A throne, perhaps.
So yeah, they're all getting blindsided. Both parents are in some fashion or another. Nick goes back downstairs to look for Elizabeth, and Hallie sings "Let's Get Together" to herself. Yeah, and sends Meredith after Nick because both girls.
She's like, "Oh, you're Meredith," because they haven't met yet.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh yeah," because the one twin is supposed to be keeping an eye on Meredith, and he's like, "Yeah," and so. Because Nick wants to go back downstairs and investigate or troubleshoot.
Yes.
So Meredith meets Elizabeth in the hotel bar.
Elizabeth is trying to sober up.
Yeah, she is has the hangovers hitting.
Yeah, the bartender made her some sort of concoction to try and cure her hangover.
Yeah. So Meredith meets Elizabeth and she's like, "Oh, I think I just drank Tar. Like, yeah, and she just burps and she's like, excuse me, I'm sorry. I think, like
yeah, Meredith sees her sign her name on her check.
Yeah, and she's like, you're Elizabeth James? I've been trying to get a hold of you, but your office said you would be away and they didn't know if you'd make it back in time. And like, she's like,
this is fate that we've met, because she wants a wedding dress.
She wants a wedding dress made by Elizabeth, because Elizabeth's dresses are that good.
Yes. Which also, I think should be noted, like, I don't think, oh my gosh, what's her name? Not Elizabeth, Meredith. That it's not that she doesn't like Nick. You know what I mean? Like, she's not just gonna marry him to divorce him right away.
No, it's not like Vicky was with Mitch, but
it's still sinister.
It's still like she's not.
Yeah, she's definitely in it for all he's got. But
and
I
like
think
she's like she likes him, but she's like, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll walk
she
away
likes
with
the idea of marrying him.
Yeah. So and Gush is hoping that Elizabeth will design Meredith's wedding gown. Nick is looking for Elizabeth still and finds her by the pool then. He falls into the pool where everyone else is hanging out. Like, everybody's just down by the pool.
Everybody's there.
Being closed, though. Like, nobody's swimming.
They're
just all
in the
down
chairs
there.
in the chase.
So Nick finally sees the twins together, and he loves it. Like, he's so excited. He's like, they're together?
But,
like, you ogres kept them apart for 11 years.
It didn't have to be this way.
No, you dummies. Oh my gosh, I just want to shake both the parents. Like, this is a child abuse. That's a mind F. Like, like, if you find out you have a long lost twin you don't know about.
With your parent who didn't want you, they wanted that one apparently.
Yeah, how would that make you feel? So Meredith enters the picture and finds Elizabeth and Nick.
Oh, good, you've met.
Yeah.
Oh, but
wait, how? Like, oh, Nikki, good. Like, this is Elizabeth.
Yes.
And Meredith is shocked that the girls are twins. Like,
yeah.
I said Vicky seemed less surprised in 1961. I said maybe Mitch told her.
Yeah, like,
because she didn't seem at all shocked that there were two of them.
Oh yeah, here's another.
Great. She
was more shocked that like the ex-wife was there.
Yeah,
and
not that there was a doppelganger twin. Yes. Yeah, but this one, Meredith had no idea.
She was shocked.
So all four go out that night, the twins and the parents, somehow without Meredith, to a boat that's docked.
Yep.
And they I loved Holly's outfit back in the day with the chopstick hair and the Asian inspired dress. That silk was very in back then.
Yes, it was very cool.
Yeah.
And Annie's was very matronly. Like, it was like a flower girl dress.
Yeah,
it was not the best.
No. That's
still
why
cute.
That's why I didn't note it, because I never liked it.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't high fashion like Hallie's.
Because we all wanted to be Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, yes.
I remember after seeing this movie, I wanted to have my hair cut like that so bad. Like,
yeah, it was so cool.
Chessie and Martin are the wait staff, and the girls leave Nick and Elizabeth to eat alone. Chessie says the help is the same. I said, did they poach them from the QE too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how.
They might have.
They said, like, I need a personal assistant.
The parents are like, well, how did you do this? And she's like, well, grandfather chipped in a little. And she's like, she's like, Annie, okay, he chipped in a lot. So, because they have this boat all themselves. It's like a yacht that's docked.
Yes. Yeah, that they reserve for the evening for this dinner.
So, Nick is having trouble remembering why they split up. Things are also heating up for Martin and Chessie in this little, what are those kitchens called?
It's the galley.
The galley kitchens. Yeah, it's a little galley
kitchen.
They're
trying to get around the door.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Cute.
Yeah. So Chessie butts into the custody conversation.
Yeah, she comes to pour wine, and they're talking about we could share them half the year.
And she's like, are they going to go to two different schools? And I'm like, well, she's speaking sense, but
but it's also like, okay,
shut your mouth.
And they're like, excuse me.
So again, Elizabeth, it just kind of fizzles out. Nothing
they
happens.
Don't come to an agreement of any kind.
So they just give up.
Yep. We'll figure it out later, I guess.
So Elizabeth is packed, and Nick didn't come at. Oh, okay. She couldn't remember why he couldn't remember why they split up. Elizabeth packed, and Nick didn't come after her, and he said he didn't know he should come after her, and I'm like, well.
Yeah,
okay, you were
just toss that marriage away.
I guess she's just leaving
with your babies.
Let me not. Yeah, exactly. She's taking a child with her. Yes. I would speak up.
Yeah, we're not fighting for this apparently.
No. So they're coming up with a preliminary custody swap of Elizabeth is gathering passports. They committed fraud with Annie's passport and going to England and the U.S. before, and like now they're all concerned about like how this is gonna work out.
Yeah.
So girls are convincing the parents to stay in the USA for the camping trip that they go on every year. Elizabeth tricks Meredith into coming along, but then she stays behind at the last minute, much like Maggie did with Vicky. Yeah, in the first.
And all the same hijinks.
All the same hijinks, except it's just them. There's no Hecky. There's no Chessie. There's no Martin.
No hired help.
No hired help is going. Yeah. So
I feel like Nick was much more rugged.
Nick, I felt like actually ran the vineyard.
Yeah, like he was definitely hands-on in this business.
And I think Mitch did the ranch too, but like I think him and Hecky did it together. That was too big, I think, for him. But how is Nick running a whole vineyard by himself? I don't know.
Great question.
Yeah.
You do see other employees though. He's like walking through, checking off his son.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Yep, you're right. Okay, so Meredith is struggling on the hike up the mountain just like Vicky did.
Although she's like in super good shape, so I feel like she wouldn't.
And she's got like those cute like pedal pusher like
the cute
like
little,
Adidas looking. Yeah.
It's back in style now. They're carrying it kind of at Target. Like it looks very similar
with the little crop like crop sports top. Bra.
She was cute.
Yeah, she looked great. And her little the real light hoodie, like she had
a little backpack
zip up,
too.
Yep. So the girls trick her with a tree lizard on a water jug again.
This little guy got on her Evian.
Yeah, her Evian. Yes, somebody passed me my Evian. And then put it in her hair, and it goes in her mouth.
Oh, that scene.
And that was all CGI. I remember them showing that in the behind the scenes.
But it looked very realistic, I thought. It did. Even though, it probably wouldn't work that way. But yeah, it's like, spit this out faster. Why are you holding this in
I
your
know,
mouth?
because she's obviously holding it in her mouth. Meredith is getting bit by mosquitoes, and it's a trick by the girls. Sugar water again. Well, you'll attract every mosquito in the state with this. It's nothing but sugar and water.
And she just looks.
And she was like, yeah. I forgot in the first one, like they asked Vicky like where she got it from. An old Indian scout gave it to me. And now Meredith said something about Indian scouts too, but I don't remember. So Meredith doesn't like trout. And she's tapping sticks together to keep mountain lions away.
Yeah, so it's one of those, like, you don't hear the girl saying
That's what it was. She was like, there are no mountain lions, are there? Yeah.
She's just going to her tent, and they were like, what are you doing? I'm keeping the mountain lions away. And
she just stops mid-sentence, So she's going to take one large sleeping pill and go to bed. And she comes out, makes out with Nick in front of everybody.
Yeah.
In front of God and everybody. The last Meredith trick is moving her air mattress out to float on the lake, and Meredith wakes up and makes like screaming. There's like a bird pecking at her. And she stands up in the middle on an air mattress and falls right off, of course, because who stands up on an air mattress? I don't know that I could do that on land.
It would be have to deflate it if this was a real air mattress. Let's be honest.
Yes. So she makes Nick choose between her or them. And of course he's choosing them. They're his children. He's like, okay, them. Like, he didn't even miss a beat.
But I love that they did that in this version. Whereas in the other one was like, she left.
Yeah.
Whereas this, he was like, no, I don't want you.
Yeah. Meredith is never seen again. So I said, in this one, at least Nick got the engagement ring back because she threw it at his head. Elizabeth had thrown a hairdryer at his head.
It was much smaller than a hairdryer.
Yeah. Nick is secretly glad it happened. They get back to the house, and Chessie and Martin aren't home. They left for a picnic at noon yesterday.
So they're having fun.
Because Elizabeth said she didn't need the help at the house. So Nick cooks for Liz. He's calling her Lizzie again. And shows her his wine collection, including the rarest bottle, Where Dreams Have No End, 1983.
It took him 86.
Nope, it was a 83 bottle, though.
Oh, because it was a little.
It was aged, a little aged on the ship.
But like
the picture was 1986.
Yeah, he's like, took me years to track that one down.
And it's wine from their wedding, and Nick now owns every bottle ever made that still is in existence. Yeah, and she asked if we open one, And then, like, Chessie arrives home, like, they hear a beep beep outside, and Liz is...
they're having a moment. She's got
down
tears
in the wine
her
cellar, and Liz is scared off some at this point.
Yeah,
and she's like, oh, like, she was kind of, like, pushed back into reality.
Fall back into this,
Yeah. So Elizabeth and Annie leave the next day in the rain and get home to find Hallie in grandfather's chair. She and Nick found a faster airline. Nick came after them and didn't want to lose Elizabeth again. And they kiss, and the twins are happy.
This filthy!
Okay, so we cut to the photo album from the QE2 1998. And Nick and Elizabeth remarried, and Martin proposed to Chessie at the reception.
Usually that's a no-go. But
I like it for this one.
Yeah, this one it makes more sense.
It's their second wedding. It's their second wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I love this movie so much.
I have some facts. I don't know if you do.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so Natasha Richardson was 30. Oh, yeah, I did ages again. She was 34 when this was filmed.
She looked older than 34.
She did, but she did look good. Now, she passed in 2009, but she was all...
With that, do you know her son watches this movie?
I have it written.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
he
okay.
watches this movie because she's most like herself.
Yeah.
So when he's missing his mom, he watches this movie, and it makes him feel comforted.
Yeah,
yeah.
He said that this is just like her in real life. And I'm like, oh, that's so sad. Okay. Dennis...
She was 34. Okay.
Dennis Quaid was 43.
Oh.
I see it.
Okay. Yeah. He looked... I think he's on par for 43.
Yeah, I think so.
He looked good.
Yep.
Not too young, not too old.
Chessie was also 34.
I want to go with that.
Yeah. And Martin, 35.
Yes! I am 35.
You look like Martin. He's bald, like he's,
Yes.
He looks older than 35.
Wow.
Yeah, he was 35 when they filmed this.
Okay. All right.
So Meredith was 27.
Okay.
And and she said she was 26, so like that,
yeah.
She was also in Inspector Gadget, Superstar with Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon, and Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
Yes,
she had a minor role in that.
Yeah.
And then Natasha Richardson was also in the original Handmaid's Tale movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Made in Manhattan. Those were like the two I was familiar with her. Dennis Quaid, his brother is Randy Quaid, and he was Dennis was an extra in Stripes, so we'll have to look for him.
Yes,
when we go. Yeah, it's on our list for the future. He was in The Right Stuff. Great Balls of Fire. Oh, yeah, he played Jerry Lee Lewis in that movie. Okay. Undercover Blues, which we saw that one as summer movies. Yeah. I'm sure that'll come up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's on the list.
Any Given Sunday, The Rookie, Day After Tomorrow, Footloose remake. He was the dad in that. The preacher, I think. Soul Surfer, Legion, and Yours, Mine, and Ours remake.
Oh, I saw that one.
Did you? I didn't see that one. Yeah. But yeah,
Chessie was in something too. I'm trying.
She's in that series now. That
what is it?
Elementary.
Okay, that's not what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
She was in something else because I remember seeing it be like, oh, that's her, but now I can't think of what it was.
You know what? I think you're right because I thought the same thing, but maybe I'm just thinking of that show that she's in.
I'm trying to think of my other fun facts. So I know that. Shoot! Now they're all leaving my brain.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, go first.
There's a little boy. In the camp scene. He shows up at camp.
He's the only boy.
Yes. That's Lindsay Lohan's brother.
Is it really?
Yes. Oh. So they had him come in and play that minor little part.
That's great. Yeah, there's a boy that shows up at camp by mistake. He thinks it's a boys' camp.
I thought this was a boys' camp.
And he's the only boy there.
Yeah, but he stays the whole summer,
And he's like their little pet by the end.
Yes, I'm going to miss you guys.
Yeah.
I can't.
But this was Lindsay Lohan's first movie. I think she was 11 when they filmed it, 10 or 11. Yeah. So, yeah, she was, and this was kind of what shot off her career then. But, yeah, like, that's what I've got.
Yeah, I think I had more, but I don't.
I brought it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a lot.
Okay. But I knew that Natasha Richardson
fact. I'm Googling as soon as we're done.
That made me so sad.
Oh, I know. She's
she passed in a skiing accident. Yeah. Yeah, which, oh, man, that sucks.
Terrible.
Yeah. And she was married to Liam Neeson already.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, this is a good
I love this movie. We saw this in the theater with our mom. And yeah.
And like I said, like it holds up because my kids loved it.
This is the height of Titanic, Spice Girls, and like this was like my big three at the time.
Remember, you have a Cuppy stuffed animal somewhere.
I do have a Cuppy.
You got it from the Disney store.
I saved it, Yes. I gave it to your kid, didn't I?
No, you didn't. You said you were going to. She said, maybe Aunt Leslie will give me that Cuppy toy.
I have it for her. I told, you know what?
Because you said you were going to give it to her.
It's been in the wash pile for, I don't think Dave ever washed it. I think it needs to be washed. I'll talk to him.
Oh my gosh, don't rush. It's fine.
No. Because her daughter loves this movie and she's a little redhead.
She's a little redhead with freckles.
And so and her name is very similar to Hallie's. Mm-hmm. And I was like, my son mispronounces it a lot.
He always calls her Hallie. Hey, Hallie.
So I was gonna give her the Cuppy stuffy that I found. It was like a little Beanie Baby. Yeah.
Yes.
Disney store.
A true.
Relic.
Trademark.
Yeah.
Here we are.
But we thank you for joining us again this week for our Parent Trap series.
Let us know what you thought of it. Have you seen this one? Were you into it like we were? And
let us know if you want Cindy Krill showing up as a guest star.
You're really plugging her.
I'm plugging her. Well, I noticed in my book it's coming up. So.
Oh, okay. Trying to shame her into it.
So please comment and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Sisters in Ebert. If you've seen this movie, do you like this movie? How do you feel about this compared to 1961's Parent Trap? Mm-hmm. Same and different? Like what? Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a million times better.
It's so good. I love this movie. And
usually
I usually hate a remake.
Oh yes. But this is one of those cases where it's like they changed all the right things and just made it so relatable and fun.
They did. And please also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Sisters in Ebert. And we look forward to hearing your thoughts on everything. And we'll see you at the movies.